Can't quit you, guys, girls, and all the other genders and genderlings. I don't know what all is out there. People could have dogs and cats watching this thing. Who knows? Parakeets. People could be training their birds on this. Anyway, I'm back for another open panel. I've had Oh, that reminds me, I got a comment somewhere. Uh People have been asking me if I'm doing a stream tonight for some reason. Um so I decided yes I am. Daniel Barry, hello, hello. Chuck, good to see you, sir. Um, 1 second here. Oh yeah, and then I have to look at news and stuff. I've kind of really been unplugged today. So, hang on, what? There we go. All right. Let's see what is going on up in the world. Democrats sue over new Georgia election rules. What does that mean? Trump and Harris spar over upcoming debate. Okay, so there's some kind of the Republicans in Georgia are there's some election in Georgia wants to do these election certification rules that Democrats are trying to block them from doing. They're trying to revive the Trump document case. That Telegram guy, and they said that he has over 100 children out there, which just sounds scandalous to me. And then some dinosaur footprints. Okay, that's all that. Well, that's not all, but that's a lot of what had happened in the world. I would, Mike. I mean, Wombat. Sorry, sorry. See how easy it is to get everyone. The dynamic confuses everything. Um, you're trolling right now. But I'm at one day, maybe not tonight. I want to hear your side of it, like what your motivation is for the continued obsession. Like if it's some kind of revenge on the bully drive or something like that. I know it's it's because I was reading your comment while I was talking, and the comment was making me I knew you were talking about the comment, and in my brain it got all associated with the same tweet comment. You, sorry. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about then. There is a story there. All right, perfect. Yeah, we can do it. And I apologize. That was so very wrong of me. I do apologize. All right. What was I doing? Oh, news. Oh, I think I just did. Not much. Tweets. If people don't believe in tomorrow that it's possible to achieve, to build a life, to find some happiness, they'll lose hope and fail or fall. Intersectionality, identity politics, privilege theory, radical feminism, all toxic ideologies that convince people life isn't worth living. I don't know if they go that far, but they do seem to make life seem more miserable than I think it is. Societies that implement policies and promote narratives driven by such toxic ideologies fall to stagnation. Um, of course, they would say I'm able to say that because I have all this privilege that lets me say something like that. What's a disgusting comment? Corner gaming, M corner. Do you mean you're experiencing the disgust response when you read it? Is it one of these comments or the tweet that I read? or something I said. We Yes, I know. I it was a sometimes Freud gets involved. Maybe I don't know, but honestly, like, if you think about it from the subconscious point of view, which I don't even necessarily believe in, or a third party objective like alien looking down on the Earth point of view, um, it really is hard to tell one from another because you could swap any person. That's the thing about game theory. I mean, transactional analysis, the drama triangle, all that. It is independent of the individual. You could swap any individual out in the dynamic and replace with any other individual, and the dynamic they would still behave the same because the dynamic itself is impersonal. So see, my lizard brain or whatever made the mistake, spit out the comment, knows maybe better than my conscious mind, and maybe it wasn't a mistake after all. I'm undoing the compliment. I do that all the time. People tell me I'm sorry. From a certain perspective, you are. That's the point I was trying to make. Hey, Shady, Tommy. Okay. I can't promise what you'll see, or if there will even be anything to replay. I'm just holding the space. But at the same time, if somebody mixed me up with somebody I hated, uh, I would feel a way too. So see, this is when never mind. I won't get into it. So I think that's all the tweets. So I guess that's all of the stuff I have. Talcott streaming? Oh, Tommy is streaming about Talcott. Okay. Oh, Blizzy's live. I like Blizzy. Um, I have a need for tweet. I would ask it if something happened on Talcott today, but it seems redundant to even ask and unnecessary. I bet something happened on all the streams today because I think that's what the streams rely on to keep going. Is something happening? Uh, Unlike the stream you're on now, where nothing is happening. So you can compare the results. He said, "Who? Oh, Talcott. Probably. That's probably going to go on his resume whether he did it or not. Because once people pick their scapegoat, it really doesn't matter what the accusations are. It's just a role. Again, those dynamics that take. I remember in my little town growing up, I was the scapegoat, and I I knew it. Like I knew the role. It was a couple of thousand people, so I knew the role that I played in relation to those people, and I told myself consciously, like when I left the house, what is the worst thing that these people probably think of me? The ones that don't know me, the villagers. Um, they know I'm gay, so they probably think that I am promiscuous, that I'm a pedophile. They probably think I'm a drug addict. They probably think I have AIDS. What else horrible? Could they probably think I worship the devil because they were already thinking that. So I thought of all the worst things they could possibly think of me when I walk out my front door. And I've set myself for that expectation. And so when I left the house, that was the assumption that I assumed that the default person in that town was thinking about me. And then I went about my day. I didn't care. It did nothing to me. I assumed the worst, and I planned for that worst case scenario. And so I like prepared them in advance. Like if I was going to be the scapegoat and they were going to dump all their shit on me and project all their worst fears about a person, et cetera, or use me to elevate themselves, I was going to try to anticipate what all of that stuff was going to be in advance so that when I left the house, I was prepared for what I was being scapegoated with. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it worked. So if you're in the scapegoat role, it helps to hear and see all of this and know what people are projecting. Oh, your StreamYard isn't working. Do you mean your app or the browser? Because you could try another browser too, if it's just a browser. And then I've heard that a lot of people on the phone don't like the app. They prefer to do the phone from their browser as well. All right, what was I talking about? Um, Scapegoats. I think I did a whole episode on it at one point, probably more than one. It comes up a lot in autism, Satanism for sure, growing up gay, etc., etc. Those were all historical scapegoats. And now America's so divided. It really depends on what group you're in, because for some it's white males, sometimes Christian males, straight males, etc. They tack other things, but definitely centers around men and or whiteness, whatever that is. And if you're on the other side, it's things like trans people, the Q plus, um, maybe some Palestine supporters, etc. The BLMs. But the scapegoat, to me, says more about the person than like the person doing the scapegoating than the person being scapegoat. They're just the prop in that little psychodrama ritual, which we all do more or less to some extent. We all project, transfer past experiences onto the present, etc. See ourselves in others. I guess it's the maybe the degree to which you do it and becoming aware of the process. There's also projective identification where somebody's projecting onto you and you start to conform to their projections or expectations of you. And so how they're seeing you starts to influence how you behave toward them. Um, what's today? Monday? Monday night? Yeah, and transference is like when you, like all the stuff from your childhood, like how you pick a boyfriend or a girlfriend that reminds you of your mom or your dad, and you transfer all your childhood feelings and issues with the parental figure onto the new person that resembles them. I know a lot of my relationships, particularly the bad ones, the ones that don't work out, are the dysfunctional ones. I can definitely see parental resemblances. Like they'll remind me of aspects of my mom or my dad. But even like friends or people or coworkers that can, anything that calls up a, and again, I'm not a psychologist. This is not actual theory. This is just my summarization of my understanding of it. Like anything that calls up the past or reminds you of your past or has the ability to evoke or resemble something from your past has the ability to be something. You can transfer something from the past onto that thing or person. And in therapy, and they have something called the counter transference too, where the therapist starts to transfer his shit onto the patient. Um, but part of the therapy, at least in like Freud and Jung, I believe, in the beginnings when they were developing it, I think part of the idea was they wanted that. Like the analyst was supposed to consciously be the person that took on that transference, so that the person could work through it, like learn to see it and work through it. But again, it has been many decades since I've taken a formal psychology course, or read Jung for that matter. Um, okay, well, I'm gonna sit here and play a little while longer. I wonder if we can stream somebody. Go spy. Tommy Temper. Oh, some of the Australian people are live. Let's see what old Tommy's doing. The Australians are playing music, so I don't want to risk copyright. I guess Flow is streaming or something. iFi is restreaming somebody. Yeah, it looks like typical panel stuff. Oh well. Oh, about StreamYard? Yeah, I don't know. I hate technology. I do for that reason. It's never working. Like growing up, the well, maybe that's not true either. But like the telephone worked. You picked it up, you spun the numbers around, and your call connected, more or less. You didn't have to fiddle. There was no troubleshooting. And your TV more or less worked. At least the big fancy ones with the remote, like the consoles that sat in the big wooden boxes. Um, but the rabbit ears didn't always, and you had to go fiddle with that. Now that I was thinking about it, and sometimes the radio you had to tune it in just right, but not near to the degree that I find myself fiddling today with technology, websites and settings and phone, and then every time it upgrades, it changes some little thing that I have to go back and figure out how to fix. I love technology when it works, but it's one of those things that is, I guess it's not consistent. It can glitch out at any time. And we just accept that as part of the experience. But it hijacks a lot of my time and bandwidth when that happens, and I get very frustrated very quickly. I have a low frustration tolerance for technology. Because it can suck you into hours of rabbit holes trying to figure out how to fix or tweak one little thing. Um, oh wow, the I was watching the numbers dwindle, and then they just doubled and shot up. Hello, new audience. I'm just holding a space open for anyone that wants to come up and have a conversation. An adult, not that kind of adult, although sometimes that happens, but a mature, psychologically mature adult conversation. Or if you want to talk about mental health, those don't always have to be completely adult. If you just need to talk and get stuff off your chest, or neurodivergence, autism, that kind of stuff. Oh wow, yeah, I guess it is late. I really want to do more streaming. I'd like to be able to do it, like kind of wake up, turn it on, go for a while, take a break if I need to, and turn it back on for a while. Like as many hours a day as I could cover. And I think with the right amount of breaks in between, I could pull that off. Because my goal has always been to be a 24-hour enterprise once I have the right team. So that would be like a big step on the way to that. and give some consistency to, some stability, some order to the chaos, which I don't really find chaotic. I kind of like work with the flow, like streaming whenever I can fit it into my flow. But if I want to expand from that into something, for a little while I was doing morning, midday, and evening. I was doing three a day. And that felt more like a full time job than anything I've done in recent years. Um, and I realized that if I'm going to do those three things, then I'm going to have to treat it. It's going to become a full time job at that point. I'm going to have to get in full time job mode. And I don't think I'm ready to quite transition into that yet. And I don't think I've grown to the point enough where I could do it realistically. But at some point, um, this is going to be my job, my career. Like if people that wake up and go to the office from 8 to 5, I'm going to wake up and come here from 8 to 5. As long as I can, you know, take care of myself, keep myself floating. Because that's I have never been driven by money ever. I think it's an autism thing. I never understood it because growing up we had the Fisher Price cash register, we had the big toy money, we had the plastic groceries, we had the little kitchen that you put the groceries in, and we played all of that as a kid. Um, and I remember thinking even then how stupid it all. Like I just didn't understand why this is the way, like the world conducted. It just seemed weird to me how like, and I think I still even as an adult never really got money or understood it. I'm not well adjusted to capitalism. I think there's such a thing as like capitalistic man. Remember that initial socialization we talk about that happens in childhood, and you adopt the prevailing story, or you adjust yourself to the dominant story of society. And in a capitalist society, part of that is money. Like get money, get a job, acquire money, resources, income. I never got those. We never had allowance. There was no like formal organized economy in our family or way to. Money just had no meaning. If you want something, you begged your parents, or you fought with your parents, or you laid out really good rational arguments with your parents, which they never cared about anyway, or you manipulated your parents. But each thing you wanted, you had to strategize how to get that one thing every time. There was no like organized way for a kid to acquire goods. So I think all that just bypassed me. So everything I do out of a sense of intrinsic motivation. I do it because I get something out of it. It like gives my brain the right chemicals. And most of the work I've done, a lot of it has been volunteer, has been because the work itself just calls me to do it. Like I find meaning in it, and I don't really pay attention to am I getting paid for it. That's always been a weakness of mine. My friends tell me all the time. They're like, dude, there's people that make six figures doing some of the stuff that you do for free. Um, I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what any of that is, and it doesn't cost me to do any of it. Like it doesn't. It. This is the easiest thing in the world as far as work goes. To wake up and open up a stream and sit in a chair. Like how easy of a job is that? So none of it feels like work to me at all, ever. If a friend needs to talk, I was that person growing up that I was the weird kid, I was the creepy kid, I was the gay kid, the gothic kid, all the nerd, all of that stuff. But when somebody needed to talk, they were having a problem or a crisis, or for some reason I was the person they ended up coming to. And I was really good at listening. I was good at giving feedback. I was good at giving my opinion. Um, And so I always kind of fell into that role. And it's never cost me anything. Like if a friend needs to talk, just pick up the phone and call. I mean, if I'm not doing anything, there's no effort at all that I have to put into listening. I don't know what I was talking about or how I got on those topics. I'm just trying to fill in dead air. We trolled. People say that. I don't know what's trolling and not trolling anymore. I mean, I definitely have trickster energy, and in fact, in Cajun culture, we have a specific word, canaille, which in French has more of a negative connotation than it does in Cajun culture. It's like mischievous, or it's the kid. It shows up in childhood. Like if you have some kids, some of them turn out to be the canaille ones, and those are the sly ones. You always have to keep an eye on them. You never know what they're up to. And I was canaille. A lot, most of us were, like me and my siblings. We had that trait, and so I've always had that little mischievous or trickster side. But then, at the school I went to, I was kind of the class clown because it was a gifted school, and they should have known this. And if they did, that's their fault. I take no responsibility for this. This is completely on them. I was a teenager. Um, if you bore gifted children, if somehow they're around you and they fall into a state of boredom, they will clown. Uh, they will act up and that is exactly what happened. And another mistake they made was they put some of the classes in the science building, in the science labs, where they had like the big black table slabs with the lab equipment on it, and along the back wall they had like glass beakers and test tubes and plastic water bottles that you could fill up with water from the sink in the back while the teacher was standing at the board with his back turned, and then squirt the board with the water and then put the bottle back real quick, and he'd turn around and nobody would say who did it. Stuff like that. And I talked about the candy chalk, like replacing the chalk with the candy chalk, that kind of stuff. So I was a part, I would even say a part, I was maybe like a ringleader. Is that a word in your language of that kind of stuff? So I've definitely, if you call that trolling, I have a history of that kind of stuff. But it's to break up the staleness, the monotony. It's when things get bored, things when they reach a certain amount of stasis. I have to inject some dynamism and some spontaneity. I can't have things too orderly. And on my Big Five test, when I took it live, that was my lowest score. I think was orderliness was an 8 out of 100, and politeness was a 12 out of 100. So all these people that think I'm so nice and polite, I have a test that says otherwise. And so it came out of that sense of just wanting to keep things, exciting, moving. And then in AOL, I was a troll in the sense because almost everybody was in those chat rooms. They were kind of like the Panelverse but without video. They were kind of like the comment section, and everybody had screen names. Everybody got to know each other after a while, and drama developed, and people would come in under different names and start drama and all that kind of stuff. And so there was a lot of chaos and drama, and people would come in and just tease and fuck with people. And I did that kind of trolling, like, and so I have a background in that. And so when people say like we trolled Mike or trolling is happening on this channel, it probably is. But my role, like the amount of trolling I actually do here is very minimal, and it's of the AOL type. It's just to kind of keep a conversation. I'm caged. Just got to add a little bit of seasoning to things, a little bit of spice, and that's what my trolling is. So any trolling that I'm doing is no greater than that on my end. Now I can't speak for any of my panelists or any guests or any commenters or anything like that. But I assume, and in the panelverse, I think it's a safe assumption to assume a certain level or degree of trolling on the part of everybody. Just there's like a baseline level of trolling. I just assume of everybody. If it's 10%, 20%, even the nicest, most authentic, most sincere person, I assume there's at least 10% troll in there. And so if we kind of like with our primitive instincts, our degrees of narcissism, because it is a spectrum and we all start out narcissistic. If we can all just admit or own our troll, our inner narcissist, our primitive instincts, and like we all have all that. What is dark side? Is that a YouTuber? And I'm gonna say this as a panel host. The amount of trollishness on a panel is ultimately they're the ones working the door. So it's ultimately the panel host that's where the buck stops as far as trolling, drama. So I don't even ultimately put it on the trolls. If they're good enough to keep getting on a panel and trolling, that's on the host. And some of it's kind of a game. It's kind of a human video game. They pick the panels. They have their missions. They see if they whatever their agenda is. They see if they could pull it off or not. In Big Brother right now, they have a new power. It's like a troll power because they have AI. It's AI Big Brother, and so they have this like AI android lady that can turn into different players. They can take on the appearance of different players, and so one of the players now has the power to imitate other players and cause misinformation, start rumors, create drama, and I'm like, that's what they do with the panelverse. It's like a troll power. It's if it's like if somebody could take Jess's screen name and type under her name, and everybody would think it was her, and then it would cause chaos in the room. That actually happened live on a stream one day with me. I got fooled by a fake troll, and so they actually have it as a power now in this Big Brother game, and they just rolled it out. So I'm interested to see. But there's that kind of trolling too, where people have agendas to disrupt. Or sometimes it's not specific agendas, they just want to see what they can get away with. How much chaos can they cause? It's like power testing or limit testing. How powerful am I? Because I'm so insecure, I need to feel a sense of power in the first place. I honestly don't. He's been on here like what, a few months now. I don't get the obsession. Like of all the people in the panelverse that I've been around for a good year, if not a year and a half. I don't even want to think about if it's two. Um, he's by far not the most interesting person to. There's like so many other people besides Mike that if I was gonna lol cow, that I could see the fascination with. He's just not one of them. It seems like punching down. I guess it seems like mob mentality and punching down and bullying more than it seems like anything heroic. Well, but aren't we all like I don't want the personality police that goes around like running their white glove over everybody, determining how real somebody's personality is being or not. I prefer adults to judge that for themselves. Hey, Lotus, welcome. Well, Jess, I'll tell you, my experience with nice is a very negative connotation because growing up in the South, that was the most desirable thing you could possibly be was nice or thought of was nice. That was the highest compliment anybody could pay you, was if they were nice. So it did not matter how smart you were, how hard you worked, how good grades you got in school, what your ambitions were. None of that mattered if you were not. Like that nice trumped all of that. And so all of my areas of strength, everything that I worked so hard to like make an impression on people with, some ordinary person could come along and be nice and they got all the praise. And like, oh, have you met so and so? Oh, they're so nice. Aren't they though? Yeah, they're just the nicest. But like nice took that compliment overrode anything else going on around, and it happened all the time. It was like a competition almost to see who could hit nice the most. And so I associate with something negative. I associate it with something that is a different standard than what I would use to judge a person, and something I could never win against, and something I just associate it with a certain type of game that I could never play, and that was like rigged against me from the start. And so when people tell me I'm nice, well, I always say I start out nice. I do. I try to start out nice, and where it goes, up to them. Corner gaming. I don't know about any of that stuff. It sounds boring. It sounds like a tell-all book. One of those tattler, sensational, what is it, memoirs or something that people would put out. I was never interested in any of that stuff. I've seen him on my panel enough to have my own like database built up about him and what impression he makes on me. Yeah, I don't know this dude. I'm not attached to him in any way. I don't care about this person. He's not on the panel. I don't know what your agenda is. Because I'll tell you what I'm convinced it's not. It's not getting Mike off the panel. It's not like y'all are on here to harass me to the point where I no longer let Mike on. Because every time I take him off, the conversation stops. People start asking for it back. People start sending super chats to get it back on. So I have ruled off eliminating Mike from this community or this network as one of the agendas. I've had to cross that off. So there's some other game going on around this Mike dude. Well, and you don't need to tell me how to interpret things. Isn't that an individual act? You can challenge my interpretation. I don't even know what you're talking about, honestly. You but the only one talking. I'm being serious. Like I don't know what the motives for telling me all this is. Is it like to not let Mike on the panel anymore? I've done that plenty of times. Yeah, I am confused. Yes. So it could be me, or it could be that your explaining needs some work. It's 50, it's very individualized. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's the other person. Probably. I probably did say that. Yeah, like it's the fascination I don't understand. Like why he's of all the people on YouTube, why he's the figure that people are so fascinated by. He has this whole like franchise really around him. He could open up like a Mike Cerrone store and sell merchandise and DVDs and all kind of stuff. They could have conferences, conventions. They could have Cerrone Con. Well, I'm not getting it, and it could be me. I don't want to assume that the fault is in your explanation, but something's not connecting with my brain. I know. I see what you're typing. I read all of that. I don't know. I don't understand any of it. I don't know any of these people, but I'm wondering why you're telling me. Like why you want me to know. What am I supposed to do something? I'm not law enforcement. I'm not. I have no. I'm just a YouTuber. So you're bringing all this this trash talk, whatever, this stuff from the past, and you're dumping it here for me to read, but I don't know why you're doing it. That was my question that I'm not understanding. Well, he's had plenty of opportunity. Okay. So when do you feel like you have satisfactorily delivered the message? Again, is it am I supposed to not have him on my channel? He's all he's doing, dude. You need to go touch some grass because all he's doing is coming on a panel and having conversations. There's nothing like more than that really going on here. I wish there were. I'm trying to grow it, but right now that's all this is. So I don't even know Mike or talk to Mike outside of what you see on the stream. The only contact we have ever had is what you've seen happen live on here. Outside of that, I don't talk to him. I know nothing about him. Okay, okay. I used to say that about my ex. He was a narcissist and a liar and a con artist, and he screwed people over. In fact, when I first started dating him, this should have been the tip off. He had four friends. That's it. Like, he had no friends. And he was only friends with two of them, and then the other two were the boyfriends of the friends. So he really only had two friends. And when we first started dating, his friends, he left the room. He like went to the bathroom or something, and while he was gone, all four of them sat me down and they told me, they're like, "We're telling you this as his friends, but if we were you, we would take all of your credit cards and your checkbook and lock them in the trunk of your car. Don't leave them in the house." And I'm like, "Wow." And they were right, like they were trying to warn me, and I should have listened. So I went around for years trying to warn people about this guy, and he ended up as part of a nonprofit in a position where he had to handle money, and I tried to warn those people, and um, so I've been in that role, and my goal for doing it was to like so people could protect themselves, so they don't get in a financial arrangement, they don't date him, think that they're getting a sincere boyfriend that's telling them the truth. Um, it was kind of a heads up, and it would really frustrate me because this is a long story. I don't think I want to get all into it, but it 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 got to a head at one point where it kind of split the entire gay community of Las Vegas in two. And there were like people that were on his side and liked him, and people that were on my side and liked me. It got that polarized. And this all played out in the chat rooms because that was kind of the heart of the Vegas community, was online. And I would see people that were my friends talking to him, and it would just infuriate me. Like, I couldn't understand why, if they knew his history and they knew what I had been through with him, they would even give him the courtesy of like acknowledging his existence, or publicly even saying hello to him. And I had to get over all. I had to mature and get over all that and grow up, and let people. Everyone has their own version of a person and their own relationship with a person, and they don't all have to see him the way I saw him. We had plenty of like people that wanted, that cared about reality. There was plenty of evidence to support my version of reality. So the people that actually cared and wanted to know did, but most people, it wasn't their drama, and I didn't understand that at the time. I thought everybody would want to know about this horrible person walking around screwing everybody over. It's like a protect the community type of thing. I he's never said anything for me to confront him on. He just talks. I ask questions like I do with everybody else, or I'll share something that it reminds me of. Like, there's nothing that weird to me about his conversations. I don't trust anything anybody. I take everything people say on here with a grain of salt. So, I'm, I don't know who's lying and not. This is a conversation space, and as long as people can come here and engage in civil conversations, like reciprocal, back and forth, everybody gets a chance to talk, etc., then they can stay. And Mike does that for the most part. So I don't have a reason to. And again, I go back to, is that even the motive? Is it wanting Mike off the panel? Because there's a then the other half of the room complains when that happens. Well, so far he hasn't, other than what you've seen on the streams. He hasn't asked me a single thing about my. He's asked me my favorite food, stuff like that. He's asked me what I believe. Okay, but again, I ask, when will you have felt that you have sufficiently warned me? Like, when do you feel like your duty is complete and the warning was delivered? Because I've been seeing the warning for weeks now, months. So I've seen it. I've got the message. I'm not blind to it. So if that's is that like they stamp the seal and then they send the message back? They send the messenger back with the reply. That's the part of it I've done. The message has been delivered, stamped. Now do whatever your next part is. I have. I'd like to think I've developed a fairly keen eye for psychodynamics and group dynamics over the years because I get like so enmeshed in them all the time, and I have to figure them out. Why am I in the middle of this drama that I didn't even know was around? Okay, I probably won't be surprised if all of this is working up to you looking out for my emotional reaction to if he uses a homophobic slur, and you're worried I might be too surprised or caught off guard. Don't. It won't surprise me. I've heard him use it before. See, he's the topic. He's been the topic tonight for the last half hour. Y'all are feeding the troll that, like, y'all are creating this Godzilla that y'all need so badly. Because the real trolls, what I've learned to do with them is ignore them. I'm telling you. Like, if you want to disempower a troll, give them no oxygen whatsoever, no reaction. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go for another 10 minutes or so, unless there's a panelist other than talking about Mike. Hey, Philip. What's up? Well, here. I wish there was a way to like highlight, have little spotlights dancing around this comment. Oh, like participate in the drama? So they are manipulate. They are trying to manipulate something from me, which I guess that's what an audience. I have to learn. I've never had an audience before, so I have to learn what having an audience means. They are going to try to influence the experience, which I mean that's natural, and I think some people like live audiences, the performers actually count on that. They want that energy from the audience because they use that to fuel their performance. I do. I have been indulging the drama way more than I intended to. But people are telling me not to do a drama tier. I thought about putting, like, having a paid tier for the drama because there seems to be a market for it. But that it would kind of maybe diminish or interfere or like undercut the mental health stuff I'm trying to do. Oh, interesting. See, that's the stuff I miss. I there's other people that kind of clue me in on this too, and it blows my mind every time that they're good. They really are good. You're not kidding. This there should be troll awards. I'm not looking for views for the sake of views. I'm looking for specific. Again, I don't look at the numbers, so I don't sit there and study the numbers and figure out what I have to do to get them to be a certain way. I'm trying to deliver a certain type of content, or maybe like a range of content, and I'm trying to get the viewers and the audience that that content is going to have some kind of meaning for or be helpful to. That's my main message. It's distribution. It's connecting what I have to the people that are going to get the most benefit from it. That's my main goal. And so those are the numbers I'm looking for more than anything else. And they show up in actual commenters or panelists. They show up as people, as individuals with screen names that I could get to know and latch onto. So those are the metrics that I use. And the drama does not. Well, I guess it is a little bit. Believe it or not, I've gotten to know a lot of people from this drama community that I otherwise would not have got to know, and that I'm very glad to have got to know. But that, all right, I guess I'm going to tell you one of my secrets because there's a parallel with the panel verse. Yeah, now the truth comes out, which is a form of sadomasochism to me, which is a form of being human or primate, maybe. Um, Seattle is a rough place for people like me, extroverts from the South, and I've talked before about my closest friend here is another person from Louisiana, and we both go through similar experiences culturally. So we're a great support system for each other, and independently, we both kind of developed the same technique for surviving and getting the most out of a town like Seattle. And that is to find the different groups and communities that are out there and become part of them long enough to get what you need out of them, and then being able to move on to another one, get what you need out of it, like the healthy parts before the drama and the dysfunction take over. Because they're always, when that happens, we're like immigrants here. We're like outsiders. So that's the time to start making the exit, because we never come in those dynamics on in any sort of position of leverage. And so it's kind of like I've learned to do that with the panelverse and the channel. I've learned to find the different channels and the different communities and interface with them long enough to get the good stuff. I might meet a few people each time that stick around, and um, or I might find another, like a particular type of audience, and I like a few people come from that. And so I grow by like interfacing, getting the good stuff, and then detaching, and then interfacing with the good community, and then the good stuff that sticks around starts to form the community here, and that community can interface with communities, etc. Um, well, sadomasochism is one instinct. That's why I use the term sadomasochism. Sadism is, it's like, what is it, electromagnetism? Sadism is part of the sadomasochism. But one doesn't exist without the other. Is PewDiePie drama? I thought he was kind of drama. That might be. That's what I intend to find out. If there is a ceiling or floor, I intend to smash through it and come out on the other end of which would be just the same place I started, right? If it's a ceiling and a floor at the same time, and I smash through it, I'd still be on the other side of a ceiling and a floor. Is it like Dante in the Inferno when they crawl up Satan's back and then gravity reverses and suddenly they're walking up, crawling upwards? Yeah, sure. Oh, gaming. Okay. Well, the Panelverse is a type of gaming as well, some would say. I want to merge it with real life. That's my interest. Like finding ways to hybridize it. Oh, it looks like Neurojack might be streaming. He's looking for guests. Here, I'll drop his link. If there's nothing happening here, I may just go find another panel to go on. Yeah, but the Schadenfreude, the pleasure at somebody's misfortune or fall or suffering, an enemy's suffering. Oh, are you Proby? See? I really do one day, maybe not tonight, or maybe tonight if somebody wants, but I want to tap into the psychology of this, the locale, not the locale themselves, but the fandom that forms around them. And like historically, what are I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. What would the version of localism have been then? Is it was it like cable access shows that had cult followings or I was probably the low. I know at my school I was definitely the locale. If there was a locale that people were making fun, actually we had. I'll tell you who the locales were. We had. I think there was a Down syndrome person, which actually the school grew to actually really like her, and she became popular and kind of a beloved mascot in a way, which even that seems condescending. But I think I'm trying to think of all the people made fun of, and so they had some like mentally undeveloped people that got made fun of, but then the other ones were the Pentecostal girls. They had a group of they were a family, and they had the denim skirts, no makeup, long hair down to the butt. They got made fun of a lot and picked up. They were the scape. They were the locals, and they were the scape. And I befriended them because I recognized that treatment, and I could not stand to see somebody else go through it. And one of them to this, like we're almost best friends to this day. She became my closest friend after high school, and her whole family. Some of the nicest, loveliest people. I am so glad I got to know this family and meet these people. And those were the locales at my school. And I was the one that kind of looked out for them. So maybe this goes way back. Maybe if Mike's a locale, it's triggering my instinct to protect the underdog. Because just like you see with Trump, there's a point at which you can your persecution of the villain, you can over persecute in a way that starts to make the villain look like the innocent party and you as the more guilty party. And it's sometimes hard to find that balance to keep yourself on the right side of the appearance of moral righteousness or the moral high ground. Oh, like Anna Nicole and those I used to I remember I was a reality addict for a while. At one point we were up to I think 41 shows. We had TiVo and we would record them and watch them throughout the week. We were up to like 41 shows a week, reality show like trash. This was reality first started taking off. And so we were watching anything and everything reality related. And so are you talking about that kind of stuff? Like Janice Dickinson. That's a locale. But then you can't argue with her because she has this successful business empire. Like how is a millionaire a locale? But she's a locale. But why is that like do you walk out in the street and go look at the homeless junkies hollering and smacking themselves and laugh at them? Like it's like the people in Vegas used to do the bum fights where they'd get bums and they'd pay them like $10 or $20 to fight. They'd video it. It seems like punching down. It seems like exploiting the unfortunate. It seems sadistic. And I have my own locales. I'm discovering. I talked about the Big Brother lady earlier today. She's making a locale of herself on national TV, and I'm here for it. I'm tuning in with the popcorn every episode to see what her drama for that week is going to be. She's falling apart emotionally. She's crying about stupid shit, and all I do is sit there and laugh. I have no sympathy for her because she's so outrageous and ridiculous. I can't take any of it seriously to empathize. She's just a figure of laughter and jest. I work in mental health, and that is not my impression. Like I'm not a therapist or anything, and I think we could all benefit from therapy when we need it. Um, he does not fall outside of my range of normal conversations I've had with mental health people. Drugs, I'm not that is outside of my area of expertise. I'm not a substance use person really, unless it's maybe a psychedelic. I could trip sit, or if somebody's on weed. But I can't speak to the drug thing. But again, there's nothing that strikes me. I've worked with people that were on drugs. There's nothing about Mike that sets off my alarms of anything I have to worry about. Now, what might is possibly the neurodivergence. Like I could see him being a little special ed kid, and I think um, some of my experience there might be noticing things. But outside of that, like I don't, I'm not seeing what everyone else is seeing in those areas. But then I'm not seeing the stuff. He's not doing the stuff on my stream that all of you are seeing him do on the other streams. Well, yeah, you could say that about anybody. I often say that about people on here. That's why it's good to talk about these things and compare notes, compare perceptions and conclusions and interpretations. Or is he? Or is he? Because I've seen him. He control a room. He can manipulate a reaction. Yes, but you know what? So I'm half man child myself. Maybe that's part of it. Like in the world of neurodivergence, adulting doesn't often does not look like conventional adulting. In fact, I remember for even when I was younger, for many years, I would look at it. I'd watch people around me grow up into adults, and their personalities would change, and they'd become these like grown-up people, and that wasn't happening to me. And I would look at them and say, how are how are they turning into adults? Well, how am I not? And I just realized at some point that it just looks very different for me. I still adult in my own way. I'm responsible. Um, I could do like most things adults do. I just it doesn't look like an adult doing it. There's still that childishness or childlikeness. I said I could see. I have no difficulty seeing him as one, but this is Outliers in Exile. I have no problem seeing 99% of this panel as sped kids because I think they all are. COA. Something cover one's ass disease. Well, if if anybody has anything else they want to talk about other than Mike, I think I've milked this locale as long as I care to. Like I said, he's not my locale. I'm not into, if something gives me displeasure, I tend to avoid it. And so if there is a locale, I guess other than the Big Brother lady, if there is a locale in general, I'm not going to go spend my day trying to find them. I'm going to normally find something else to fill up my bandwidth. Oh, outliers annex. Oh, it could be. Fatty had a great term for it. Was it heathens? Next time he's here, I'll have to ask him. It was an acronym, and it fit perfectly. It becomes about him to the extent that the panel host allows it to become about him. And so I'm ultimately in control of that. If he's taking up too much oxygen, it's because I'm allowing him to take up that oxygen. Well, y'all are y'all are good teachers. I'm learning. Now if I could get some actual milk. Uh, all right, let's see. Yeah, but I think a lot of this panel verse is like, this is a this whole this YouTube, this when you turn this camera on and hop on this panel, this is an infinite attention supply if you work it right. So people that need that or didn't get that, that's why I've seen it work in a positive way with neurodivergent people that come on here and don't have a lot of experience socializing or opportunities to practice or learn social skills, and they come on the panelverse and a year later they're like have all these friends and they're popular, everybody knows them and listens to them and respects them. I've seen that happen with so many people on here. So that attention can work. Like people that, if you're craving it for a reason, because it's probably meeting some kind of developmental need. And we don't all develop at the same pace, especially neurodivergent people. And so I don't think it's necessarily pathological to crave attention, as long as when you get that attention, you do something constructive with it. And it, like, again, it cost me nothing to give attention to people. That's what I do here. And so when I get tired of it, I stop doing it. Sometimes I do in the panel. Right, but there's like that's not unusual for the maladaptive behavior is not unusual. It's kind of the norm in the panelverse. So I don't know why this one person is getting singled out for things that, like, you could pick 10 people that have the same thing to diversify your portfolio with, I guess. All right, let me Daniel's Vision of the Four Beasts by Gustave Doré on Neurojax. Oh, it looks like he's watching a video on high speed. Never mind. I can't do chipmunks. No, I haven't, but I don't know what that means. Like, even if he's trolling me, it's it's content on my channel. What's the long game? Like, what should I be looking out for? That's for people for people on a mission to warn somebody of a danger. Y'all are really bad at articulating and communicating what that actual danger is. What behavior am I enabling specifically? The only thing I enable on here is conversations. See, this is the gaslighting and the manipulation. We're here to help. Oh, you're a big boy, do you really need the help, etc., etc. It sets up two, like a double bind to manipulate you between. Well, he can take a number. Do you know my life history and how many people have done that? There's like the bodies are piled so high behind me. He's welcome to do that. I appreciate you all looking out for me. I I appreciate the sincerity of it. Like me be ignorant for Mike? He doesn't even have a channel. How could he steal my audience? Where is he stealing them? First, like half of them are his audience in the first place. He's almost entitled to some of them. He doesn't take over my channel. If he's taken over my channel, it's because I'm letting him take over the channel. He has the mic for a while. I do that a lot. I let random people kind of run with the conversation. And if you don't like the way I facilitate the conversations, go find a different channel to watch. I think y'all are unhealthily obsessed with this guy. You could treat. I don't tell people how to. Y'all tell me how to treat, or I don't. Y'all really don't. I don't know what you're telling me this for, because you don't really tell me how to treat him either. None of you have actually said, therefore, kick him off your panel. Therefore, you shouldn't have him on your show. Therefore, keep him away from your channel, etc., etc. You tell me all this stuff about him, but then y'all come and wait for him to come on so y'all could trash him. Okay, well, I have my own eyeballs too. But like again, like I said, I do appreciate it. It's the sincerity is overwhelming. It really comes through. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap up if there's no panel. I'll be out tomorrow. All right, thanks everyone. Take care, and we'll do it again.